Nora Blake stood in her mother's small yellow kitchen, watching steam curl from the old metal kettle. Sunlight slipped through the thin curtains and caught tiny dust specks in the air, the same way it had when she was 10. Nothing in this room had changed. Same chicken-shaped cookie jar, same wallpaper, same neat order. "Nora, I'm so glad you came," her mother, Linda, said, touching her arm. Her gray-streaked hair was pulled into a proper bun, librarian neat. "I still can't figure out this banking app. Everything used to be so simple with paper." Nora smiled, the practiced kind. "No problem, Mom. Where's your phone?" "On the table. I'll get us water." As Linda moved to the sink, Nora reached for the new smartphone she'd bought her last Christmas. The screen lit up. A notification. Group chat, Blake Inner Circle. A new message from Claire. Nora's eyes flicked toward the kitchen, then back to the phone. Her stomach tightened. She tapped the notification. The chat opened. Claire had written, "Good thing we didn't tell Nora. She already makes more than all of us." Above it, Jenna had typed, "I'm using my $45,000 for the studio. Thank you, Mom." Then another line, from Linda herself, "Martha's $90,000 will be released Friday. We agreed it's for the two girls who really need it." And then Claire again, "Yes. Please remember, don't tell Nora. It'll complicate things." Nora stared. $90,000. Split 2 ways. Not 3. Grandma Martha's spoon still hung in this kitchen. Grandma who taught her to bake. Grandma who called her careful Nora. Footsteps. Nora put the phone back exactly where it had been, face down, hands folded. Her face went smooth. Linda came back with 2 glasses. "Okay," she said cheerfully, "teach your old mother how to be modern." Nora showed her. Voice steady. Fingers sure. Pretending she didn't know her own family had just cut her out. 20 minutes later, sitting in her car in front of her apartment, Nora gripped the steering wheel so hard her knuckles went pale. Rain began to tap against the windshield. The sentence from that chat would not leave her head. She doesn't need it. She thought of being 16, doing her father's tax return at the dining table while her sisters went to the mall. Her father had patted her shoulder and said, "What would we do without you, kiddo?" And she had glowed, because usefulness felt like love back then. Now, at 31, usefulness felt like chains. They loved what she did. Not her. Not Nora. She sat there a long time, rain growing heavier, feeling the shape of the hurt. It wasn't just the money. It was finding out there was an inner circle, and she wasn't in it. When she finally went upstairs, her apartment felt strange, like a hotel room. Too neat. Too adult. Her eyes landed on the one thing that was hers, her camera set up in the corner. The Nikon, the lights, the props. The thing her family called that expensive hobby. Claire, the practical mother of 2, thought it was silly. Jenna, the dreamy artist, said it was too technical to be real art. Nora walked to the camera and lifted it. Solid. Real. Hers. A thought as clear as winter water rose in her. "I am done being a tool." She set the camera down, opened her laptop, and typed a title in a blank document, The Inner Circle. Under it she began a list, dates, comments, the exact wording. Then she logged into the family cloud drive, the one she had set up and paid for because Nora understands this stuff. The folders appeared. Family photos. Taxes. Claire Taxes 2023. Jenna Portfolio. Then one she hadn't named, M Trust Docs. Her pulse jumped. She clicked it. 2 files. Jenna Studio Plan.pdf. Martha Blake Trust.pdf. She opened Jenna's first and almost laughed. It was the same messy dream she'd seen 100 times. No market research, random numbers, just, "I will take pictures of inspiring people." Nora's fingers twitched. She could fix it in 3 hours. She closed it instead. Then she opened the trust. Her CPA brain cut through the legal language. There it was, on page 5. "To my daughter, Linda Blake, to be distributed among her daughters as she sees fit." 4 soft words, "as she sees fit," turned into a knife. Legally, her mother could leave her out. Morally, it was ugly. Nora swallowed hard, grabbed her phone, and called the only person who would answer at 2:45 a.m. "Hello," came a sleepy male voice. "David, it's Nora." "Nora? What's wrong?" "Hypothetical," she said, voice flat. If a trustee decides to cut out one beneficiary because she doesn't need it, can that be challenged?
Silence. Then David sighed.
That doesn't sound hypothetical.
Send me the document, David said. And call a probate attorney in the morning.
As she sees fit is broad, but if there's proof of bad faith or favoritism, you have a case. After she hung up, Nora did the thing she always did. She tried to handle it nicely. She emailed her mother. Hi Mom, for my financial planning could you send me a copy of Grandma Martha's trust documents? Thanks, Nora.
The reply came back in 3 minutes.
At 3 a.m. Oh honey, it's so boring and complicated. Let's talk Sunday, okay?
Don't stress. Nora stared at the screen.
Sunday was 2 days after Friday, after the money would be sent to Claire and Jenna.
Her phone buzzed again.
This time from Claire. Nora, why are you bothering Mom about legal stuff at this hour?
You know she gets confused.
Everything is fine.
Nora exhaled slowly. So they were already coordinated. She began taking screenshots.
The hidden folder.
The trust. Her email. Their replies.
She saved everything into a folder called Evidence. Then she sat back and saw it all clearly for the first time.
The roles.
Claire, golden eldest, real responsibilities, real kids, always needing. Jenna, fragile artist, must be protected, everything her dream. Mom, Linda, the smiling organizer who hated conflict, so she punished in secret. And Nora, the fixer, the accountant, the tech helper, the one they could cut out because she's fine.
Nora's jaw tightened. Fine people still bleed.
She opened the family group chat, the one she was actually in, not the inner one, and typed, "Family dinner tomorrow at 6. I have important financial news to discuss."
She knew them.
Important financial news was the bell they couldn't resist. The next evening, Nora walked into her parents' brick house like she was walking into a meeting. Her father, Tom, was already at the table, opening a bottle of wine.
"Nora," he boomed.
"You look great. Want a glass?" "No, thanks." Linda fluttered around with a roast chicken. Claire sat straight-backed, napkin on her lap, diamonds winking. Jenna was half-slumped, scrolling her phone. "So," Linda said, "too bright. What's this news? Did you get promoted?" Nora sat in her usual spot, the chair with the loose leg no one else wanted.
She waited. Tom talked about golf.
Claire talked about her son's soccer.
Jenna mentioned a gallery.
Nora let it build, that quiet
pressure. Then she set her fork down.
"I know about the Blake Inner Circle," she said calmly. The whole room froze.
Linda's hand went to her throat.
Tom's mouth opened.
Claire recovered first.
"Nora, that was just, and," Nora continued, "I know you're planning to split Grandma Martha's $90,000 between you two."
She looked at Claire. At Jenna.
"And to do it Friday. Without telling me."
Tom's chair scraped.
"Now hold on," he said. "That was a family decision."
"A family decision I wasn't in," Nora said. Jenna finally looked up, eyes wide. Claire leaned forward.
"Nora, you have a good job. You don't have kids. UNCC tuition is crazy.
And Jenna needs to start her studio.
You're being, honestly, a little selfish."
The word hit like a slap. Nora kept her voice level.
"Selfish is taking money from someone because you decided she doesn't need it."
Linda twisted her napkin.
"We didn't want it to be awkward for you, honey.
And legally I'm the trustee anyway." Nora stood. "Thank you for the clarification," she said.
"Enjoy dinner." "Nora, don't be dramatic," Claire said sharply.
But Nora was already walking out.
Back home, she sat at her desk while the evening was still fresh in her head and typed everything they had said, word for word. She titled it, "Dinner, 7:15 p.m. Trust Discussion."
She saved it as a PDF.
Then she emailed the trust, the screenshots, and the memo to the probate lawyer David had recommended. 30 minutes later, her phone buzzed. "They technically can do it," the lawyer wrote, "but your memo shows collusion and bad faith, especially if they publicly frame you as the problem. What outcome do you want, Ms. Blake?"
Nora stared at the message. What did she want? Her share. In or out?
She typed back, "I want my $30,000. And then I want to disengage from helping them." The next morning, before the lawyer could even send his formal email, Nora's phone pinged.
Instagram.
Jenna had posted a photo, eyes red, one tear, hand to mouth. The caption, Trying to start my dream studio, but my own sister is trying to take the money away. Some people love money more than family. The comments were already rolling in. So sad. Families can be so toxic. Praying for you. Nora stared at it, then started taking screenshots again. By 7:30 a.m., her aunts were texting. What's this about you bullying your sisters? Your mother is heartbroken. It's not always about money, Nora. She didn't reply to any of them. She forwarded everything to the lawyer instead, with the subject line, public smear instead of response.
10 minutes later, the lawyer called. His voice was brisk. Well, that was unwise of them.
Since they chose to attack you publicly instead of answer a fair request, we're adjusting. Nora sat up straighter. Adjusting? Yes, he said. My email to their lawyer will now state, my client offered to accept $30,000, her exact share. In response, your clients have initiated a coordinated public harassment campaign.
Attached.
My client will now require $35,000 to cover attorney time and defamation damages. You have 24 hours to accept or we will contest the distribution on grounds of bad faith.
Nora was quiet for a moment.
Then she said, very softly, that's perfect. For the first time since she saw that stupid chat name, Blake Inner Circle, she felt the balance shift.
Not because of revenge.
Because she finally stopped being the family's unpaid problem solver and started being her own.
The email from Nora's lawyer went out before noon.
It was short, clear, and nothing like the emotional chaos happening in the Blake family group chats. While the lawyers were talking, Nora made coffee and tried to get ready for work. At 9:15 a.m., her father called.
She almost ignored it, but old habits die hard.
Nora, Tom said loudly, I can't log into my retirement account. Did you change the password to punish us?
Nora blinked. No, Dad.
I haven't touched your accounts in months. It's still the same password I set 2 years ago, Tom Golf 1962 with a capital T.
She heard keyboard clicks. Then a pause.
Oh, he said. It works.
He didn't say thank you. He didn't ask how she was. He just hung up.
Nora stared at her phone and almost laughed. Even now, while they were smearing her online, they expected her to fix things. That call told her everything. They still saw her as a tool.
Not a daughter.
At 10 a.m., a new email appeared. This time from Claire, but sent to half the extended family, with Nora accidentally copied. We are very worried about Nora, Claire wrote. She is threatening Mom over money and involving lawyers.
This isn't like her.
Please pray for us. Nora forwarded it to her lawyer with one line. More coordinated pressure. 5 minutes later, her lawyer called again. They are making this easy, he said, almost amused. Their behavior shows they know they did something wrong.
I've already heard back from their side.
Their lawyer wants to de-escalate. That means they are scared.
Nora leaned back in her chair.
So what happens now? Now, he said, we wait for them to agree to the $35,000. They don't want probate court. And they definitely don't want all those screenshots seen by a judge. For the first time in days, Nora felt her shoulders drop.
By afternoon, the tone from her family changed.
First a text from Jenna. Nora PLS, can we talk, just us?
You know I need that money for my studio.
Why are you doing this?
Then from Claire, you are blowing this out of proportion. You have a good job.
Mom didn't mean to hurt you. Then finally from Linda herself, a voicemail.
Nora, sweetheart. This has gotten so out of hand. Can we speak mother to daughter?
Lawyers only make things worse.
Nora listened to the message twice.
Every word was soft on the surface, but underneath was the same old script. Be the good one, make it easy, don't make waves. She typed a short reply. All communication through counsel. Then she put her phone face down. She was shaking a little, not from fear, but from doing something she had never done before, saying no. The next morning, 6:40 a.m., her lawyer called. They've accepted, he said. $35,000 to be wired Friday, same day as the trust disbursement. In return, you release your mother from future claims. Nora sat on the edge of her bed, sunlight creeping through the blinds. So that's it?
That's it, he said. You stood your ground.
They underestimated you. Their public posts hurt them more than you.
Nora closed her eyes. She expected to feel guilty. Or triumphant.
Instead she felt free.
Thank you, she said.
Now, he added, what you do with them after this is your decision. You're not required to keep doing free work for people who hid money from you.
That sentence planted itself in her chest like a seed. Friday morning, her phone rang again.
Nora, Linda said, already crying, please don't do this. You're tearing this family apart over money.
Nora stood by her window, watching a red bird land on the railing. No, Mom, she said quietly.
You tore it apart when you made a secret chat about your daughters and left one out.
Linda sniffed loudly.
Your grandmother would be so ashamed of you. She always said family comes first.
And you always used that to make me do everything, Nora replied. This isn't a discussion anymore. Talk to my lawyer.
Don't hang up on me, Linda snapped, the sweetness gone. After everything we've done for you, Nora ended the call.
Her hand was steady. It shocked her how steady it was.
At 11:23 a.m., her bank app pinged. Incoming wire, $35,000. Nora stared at the number on the screen. The money they said she didn't need.
The money they tried to pass around in secret. Now sitting in her account because she had refused to be polite.
She let herself smile. Not a gloating smile, more like relief. Then she opened her laptop and started a new email addressed to Mom, Dad, Claire, Jenna. Subject, formal disengagement. She typed, this confirms receipt of the $35,000 settlement regarding the Martha Blake Trust. As of today, I am no longer providing free accounting, tax, or technical services to the family. She paused, then added detailed notes, because that's who she was. Dad, your retirement login remains. Tom Golf 1962. Please contact your provider for future issues. Claire, your kid's FAFSA is due March 1st. Contact the university directly. Jenna, your $45,000 capital injection may be taxable. Please hire a CPA. Remove me from all shared accounts within 48 hours.
She read it over. Firm. Clear. Not cruel. Then she hit send. The reaction was instant. Her phone lit up like a Christmas tree.
Nora, what is this? From Jenna. You're really going to abandon your family over one misunderstanding? From Claire.
A call from Tom.
Another from Linda. Nora muted them all. She wasn't doing this scene again. The begging, the blaming, the guilt.
Not this time. She walked to her window and looked out over the street. People were going to work. A delivery truck drove past.
Life was moving, and she was finally choosing her own lane. Behind her, on her silent phone, her family was discovering something new. What it felt like to lose the person who had quietly held everything together. That afternoon, she set her camera on its tripod and took a photo of the light coming through her living room. Tall windows, long shadows, warm gold. She checked the shot and nodded. This, she thought, is the real inheritance, space to breathe and do what I love. The $35,000 wasn't just money, it was proof. Proof she wasn't crazy, proof she was right to speak up, proof she didn't have to keep being their free worker just because she was good at it. She opened a browser tab and began searching, Downtown Raleigh Photography Studio rent. Then, Business License Raleigh. Then, Portfolio Website Templates. Every click felt like a step away from the Blake family script. That evening, David came by her place with takeout.
He dropped the bag on her table and grinned.
So, he said, how does it feel to win against a whole family armed with group chats? Nora laughed, the tension finally cracking. Feels like breathing clean air for the first time.
They ate on her couch.
You know, David said between bites, your skills are wasted doing tax returns for people who don't say thank you.
Nora nodded. I know that now.
You could build something of your own, he said. You already have the eye.
And now you have the capital.
She looked at her camera in the corner.
Yeah, she said softly.
I think I will. That night, as she edited some old portraits on her laptop, her phone buzzed again.
This time she checked it.
It was a long text from Claire. You've really changed.
Money has made you cold. Mom is crying.
I hope you're happy. Nora read it once, then set the phone down.
She wasn't cold. She was clear. There was a difference.
She opened a new document and made another list, this one titled, What I Do for Me. First line, Open Studio. Second line, Charge full price. Third line, No free labor for people who call it a hobby.
She saved it.
The day had started with her mother telling her she was breaking the family. It ended with Nora knowing the truth. The family had been broken long before. She was just the first one to stop pretending. 1 year later, Nora stood in a sunlit studio on the third floor of an old brick building in downtown Raleigh. The walls were painted soft white, the floors polished, the windows tall enough to drink in evening light. A clean sign near the door read, Nora Blake Photography. The $35,000 she fought for, the money they said she didn't need, now lived in the form of professional lights, backdrops, a client seating area, and a tidy little office. David walked in carrying 2 paper cups. Your name looks good on the wall, he said, handing her one. Looks a lot better than family accountant.
Nora laughed. Yeah.
This version of my life actually fits.
He glanced around.
Booked out for next week.
Almost, she said proudly.
Corporate headshots, 2 branding shoots, and a family session. Paying, not guilting. Her assistant, a young woman named Talia, popped her head in.
Hey, Nora? My dad just called again.
He keeps saying photography isn't a real business and I should get something safe. Nora smiled, a slow, knowing smile. Tell him you're learning from someone who was told the same thing, she said. And tell him you're staying.
Talia grinned and disappeared.
After she left, David raised an eyebrow. That sounded personal.
It is, Nora said.
No one ever told me I could build a life that wasn't centered around doing things for other people. I want her to hear it younger than I did.
She walked over to the big window and looked out at the street. People were going about their lives.
No one out there knew or cared about Blake Inner Circle. And suddenly, that felt like freedom. That night, at home, as she edited a client gallery, her phone buzzed. Mom. Nora stared at the screen for a moment, then opened the message. Hi, honey.
It's been a year. I miss you. Can we please talk?
I'd really like us to be a family again.
The words didn't stab like they used to.
Time and distance had wrapped the wound. Nora typed slowly, Hi, Mom. I've forgiven you for my own peace.
But I'm not interested in going back to how things were.
I hope you're well. She read it twice, making sure it was honest but not cruel, then sent it. A younger version of Nora would have rushed over with soup and Excel sheets. This Nora protected her space. After the message, she went back to her photos. On her screen was a young black woman standing proudly in front of her new salon, eyes bright, hands on hips. Nora adjusted the light, softened the shadows, made the subject the center. Exactly what she had never been in her own family. She thought of Claire and Jenna sometimes, of how they must have panicked when FAFSA time came and Nora didn't appear, when tax forms arrived and there was no, hey, can you just look at this real quick, when passwords didn't work and they had to actually call support. Consequences had done what lectures never could.
She didn't hate them. She just wasn't available to be used anymore.
On Saturday morning, she unlocked her studio early. Sunlight poured across the floorboards like gold. She lifted her camera, framed the room, and clicked. This, she thought, this is the real ending. Not the $35,000. Not the lawyer email. The ending is choosing herself and not apologizing for it. Her family had once decided she didn't need an inheritance. In the end, they were right, but for the wrong reason. She didn't need their money to survive. What she needed was permission to stop being the family's free worker. And she had given that permission to herself. She set the camera on the counter, breathed in the quiet of her own studio, and smiled. Nora Blake wasn't in the inner circle anymore. She had built her own.